Even the second most notorious atheist on the planet, Christopher Hitchens, was disturbed when he considered the dissolving of the twin Buddhas desecrated by the Taliban cabinet, the dissolving of the twin Buddhas into the twin towers, the dissolving then of the twin towers into the complete annihilation of the Taliban cabinet. Is there such a thing as a law of karma? Is there such a crime as sacrilege? The same question occurred to me a short time ago when I found that a particular party, Fianna Fáil, whose name means the Transpartitionists of Right Action, the Adithyas of Dharma, had become, through Fido Fáil, their desire to rob the rest of us, had become pedophile, the anti-partitionists of wrong action, or as we say in Sanskrit, the Danavas of Dharma. They started to encroach, if not on the hill of Tara, then on the wave aspect, the halo that surrounds the hill of Tara. When you attack Tara, you attack Delphi. And the minister who gave the okay to that ended up spending 3 hours staring down the barrel of a double-barrel shotgun. Not a funny thing, I know the guy, a good guy. But there is some terrible karma involved. The desecration of Tara by Fianna Fáil, Fido Fáil, pedophile brings to my mind two particular concrete political issues I'll discuss right now, though admittedly from a mythic or doors of perception level. Mr. Bertie Ahern was hailed as an economic genius because, rather as Hitler, De Valera and FDR were hailed in their day, because he got on the up escalator, as they did. Get on the up escalator, the economy is going to look good. But the economy works in cycles. It works in yin-yang. For these guys, there's no yin-yang, there's no karma. There's nothing but dharma. From 2002 to 2006, because of course, as we all know, there's a cycle, he should have had a 6% budget surplus. That would have protected us against what happened. He didn't do that. Nor did a single member of the opposition tell him to run a budget surplus from 2002 to 2006. This is the precise, brief reason why none of them is entitled to complain. It's called reductionistic economics. And economics without cycles is like an atom science without waves. What Schrödinger did for the atom in 1926, it's our aim, Dr. Stephen Goggin and myself, to do for world economics, to make it anti-reductionistic, to make it cycle-aware. Now that's the terrible crime he committed against the economy. He ignored the cycle. He ignored the law of karma, but he committed a more serious crime. He committed a crime against the Tara principle itself and exposed Fianna Fáil, the transpartitionists of right action, as pedophile, the anti-partitionists of wrong action. Eamon de Valera and Michael Collins, and indeed Sir James Craig of Belfast, did agree implicitly on what I might call the Australian model of Irish national self-determination. The nation is sovereign relative to all other nations. The political peoples are sovereign relative to each other. The Länder are sovereign relative to one another, Austria, Bavaria, etc. Also Tuatha na Hastráil, the political peoples of Australia, sovereign relative to one another. And Tuatha na Éireann, the political peoples of Ireland, sovereign relative to one another. The American war between the states, Cogadh na Dua, as they say in America, was what the Cogadh Muinsearach, the so-called Civil War, was really all about. And the Mason-Dixon line that runs, as we're from Mason to Dixon, runs in Ireland from Sligo to Carlingford Lough. Further down, possibly down to the city of Hull. Indeed, the south tends to, that's what happened in America, that they swapped places. Anyway, what Bertie Ahern did was this. He did something not another country in the EU would do. Austria is not going to declare that it's going to put secessionist candidates into the Sudetenland. Slovenia is not going to announce it's going to put secessionist candidates into East Austria, Carinthia. I doubt if Italy is going to run secessionist candidates inside Savoy in France. I doubt if East Prussia is going to see a sudden rash of Prussian candidates. I doubt if the Swedes are going to get their greasy hands on some island off the coast of Finland and this issue Ireland. No, not a single country in the EU would do this. They would start a third world war if they tried. But this miserable country, which is a sub-nation, the Irish South, decided it would discuss opening secessionist branches inside Ulster, which is like Israel opening secessionist branches inside Palestine. There are people who love Palestine, the Protestant Palestinians, Al-Fatah. There are Catholic Palestinians who hate Palestine. There are self-hating Ulstermen. There are self-hating Palestinians. Tommy Macon was a self-hating Ulster Presbyterian. The IRA were simply Hamas acting as a cat's paw for the Israeli 26-county southern annexationists who copped themselves on. The reason why McGuinness is sitting in Parliament in the north is because his 3,000-year ancestors going back, their Dharma finally arrived on him. You see the crime committed by Ahern, suggesting opening those branches, giving credence to the Serbo-Nazi theory of the Irish nation instead of the Australian theory, to the Dublin principle instead of the Tara principle, to Berlin instead of Nuremberg, to Washington DC instead of Philadelphia, to Sydney instead of ULURU, to Athens instead of Delphi. And I predicted that 3 policemen, 2 or 3, would die within weeks, within months of this policy being propounded by him, and a renegade academic from South Tipperary should be ashamed of himself, who, if he were in the medical profession, might have been suspended, struck off the register for what he's doing. What right does an academic have the right to give the impression that the Dublin principle, the Serbo-Nazi theory of the nation state that's only 150 years old, has antiquity? The Tara principle is 5,500 years old on this island and for the German nation and in other nations. The Serbo-Nazi theory is only 150 years old. That is a very serious, I would say, lie to propound to the Irish public. That an English-speaking invention has antiquity, and that in some intrinsic way the Ulster Palestinians are committing some crime against the Holy Land, the Terra Sancta, Germania, Hibernia, because they resist the annexationist tendencies of a Solomon or a Hitler or a Bertie Ahern. What's not funny is the death of those 3 men. And I would describe those 2, the renegade academic and Bertie Ahern, I would say they are guilty of statistical homicide. I don't doubt they're guilty of statistical homicide. But they are just like paedophile protecting bishops, joined by every historian in Ireland. Why didn't historians stand up and say, this is despicable, this is reductionism? The Jewish atheist Marxians in America stand up to sociobiology, Anglo-Saxon mechanism. Where are the historians here who will stand up to reductionism? Because Tara is the matter-informed theory, the healthy hologramic theory of reality. The Dublin principle, the Nuremberg, the Berlin principle is reductionism and mechanism. Why didn't they speak up? They too have blood on their hands. The whole point about this site is to say the greatest crimes are committed by intellectuals who have not risen from IQ to the level of RQ. Vernunft, Verstand. Hegel, Marx and Engels said one good thing, swap Verstand for Vernunft, or you will destroy reality.